Welcome. In this video we are going to talk about adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators. Now there are two primary methods that you can use, and the one we're going to focus on today is the one that's kind of straightforward, what you've mostly learned before with adding fractions, and that is by finding the common denominator and using it to build new fractions. So we consider our example. 8 over x plus 7 minus 7x over x squared minus 49. Now, particularly with algebraic fractions, we want to make sure we get the least common denominator. So we want to make sure that we don't include any extra stuff. To accomplish that, we take our denominators and we factor them if they can be. And so the x squared minus 49, a difference of squares, can be factored as x plus 7 and x minus 7. We then set about finding our common denominator. And we do that by looking at our denominators and asking the question, what do we need to have to take care of that? And second question, just as important, do we already have it? Well, right now we haven't put anything in, so we need an x plus 7, so we write that down. When we come to the second fraction, we see we already have an x plus 7, but it's already been accounted for, so we don't need to include it. What we do have, though, is an x minus 7 that we haven't accounted for yet. So we go ahead and include that as well. And now we have each of our denominators taken care of, so we have our common denominator. Now, whether you write these problems down horizontally or vertically when you're adding fractions is up to you. I actually prefer to demonstrate these by writing them down vertically because it's easier for you to see what we need for each fraction. So writing it down is 8 over x plus 7 minus 7x over x plus 7x minus 7. And then when I come to the first one, I say, okay, I need to have an x plus 7x minus 7 at the bottom. So we look at what we started with, x plus 7, and then we include what we need to get our common denominator, which would be x minus 7. But if you include it in the bottom, we must also put it in the top. Okay? Then when we come to the second fraction, we say to ourselves, hey, we already have that common denominator accounted for. So our numerator doesn't change. It's just going to be 7x. Now once you've gone through the trouble of building your new fractions, for the moment, you can forget about the denominators. We'll come back to that. We can just say to ourselves, hey, we have our common denominator now, so let's just focus on the numerators because we're going to put those together. And so we go ahead and we do that. So we just take the numerators, 8 times x minus 7 minus 7x, and we simplify. Right? We distribute 8x minus 56 minus 7x, and finally, combined like terms, we get x minus 56. We then take that answer and we put it in we put it over our common denominator. And so we get the answer x minus 56 over x plus 7, x minus 7. Last thing you would always do with any fraction problems is see if you can simplify. In this case we can't. And so that would be our answer. So that's the process of building new fractions. We'll look at a couple of more examples in our next video. Until then.